Welcome to DABCC Radio,
where smart people listen.
Virtualization and Cloud Talk.
Featuring cutting-edge solutions from the hottest companies around the globe.
Broadcasting from the DABCC offices.
Surrounded by computers, books, and Legos. Your host, Douglas Brown.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DABCC Radio. We have a great show for you today. We have Goliath on the line, and they make a great performance monitoring management tool. And I've known these guys, since really they came out of stealth mode. I mean, since Thomas first started the company, and it's he's one of my favorite guys I know in this industry, and it's just a great company. So I'm really excited to catch up with them. We had them on the line years ago, so it's really nice to have him back and catch up with what's going on with these guys. So today we have Thomas Charlton. He's the CEO, chairman, and founder of Goliath Technologies, and he's going to share with us, who they are, what they're doing, and why we should care. You know the routine, what we do here on DABCC Radio. So we're going to learn all about Goliath. I'm really looking forward to it. So on that note, here we go. Here's my interview with Thomas Charlton from Goliath Technologies. Okay, Thomas, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I had you on years ago, and it's always you're one of my favorite people in the whole tech world to chat with. So I'm really looking forward to this podcast. So thanks so much for taking the time to be here.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Okie dokie. So let's get to this thing. So for people that might not know who you are, so who is Thomas Charlton, and what do you do over at Goliath?
So I lead a team of fantastic people at Goliath Technologies as chairman and CEO. I started the company in 2011 after leading about 5 other venture-backed companies. So the goal was to take a little bit longer-term view of the business and the marketplace and provide value to our clients, as well as create an environment for team members that over the long term would help them, give them the ability to reach their professional and financial goals. And so we've been pretty successful over the last 10 years. 30% of our employees, believe it or not, have been promoted. 50% of them have had recorded compensation increases. And 25% of our entire team has been referred from other team members. And our clients include Bank of America, American Airlines, the largest health systems in the United States, and Common Spirit and Ascension, as well as international service providers like HCL, Tech Mahindra, and DXC.
Very cool. Very cool. I love it. I can't believe it's been 10 years now. That's crazy. I remember when you guys, wow. How time flies, right? So can you tell us a bit more about Goliath? Why do beyond what you said, maybe a little 40,000 foot view of what you guys are creating?
Sure. And so first, we're a software company, and our focus and our passion is around helping IT departments deal with today's increasing challenges. We were talking about that before we started today. So for a minute, take a step back and think of what today's IT department has to deal with, right? Setting aside COVID-19, which is just additional. Centralization of applications, hybrid infrastructures that are very, very complex, movement to the cloud, these BYOD or virtual workspace initiatives, increasing number of remote users, and dealing with users' expectations. I mean, in spite of most people growing up with technology these days, they still don't understand they still have an expectation that their user experience is going to be the same whether they're on a plane, a train, in a coffee shop. And then layer on top of all of this a real lack of expertise, especially in Citrix environments. So Doug, you're a Citrix CTP. In a recent article that Citrix put out, they gave a couple of metrics. They said, so we support 400,000 customers. let's say that the average organization has 2 to 3 people supporting Citrix. So that's a demand of about 1.2 million to support all the Citrix customers. These people on a day-to-day basis are responsible for keeping Citrix up and running. And meanwhile, there are only 62 Citrix certified professionals per year. There are only 50 to 150 CTAs, and let's call it 50,000 Citrix experts. This all comes from Citrix, by the way. You know, there is a significant supply shortage for that demand. There is nowhere close to 1.2 million people. So there's a real lack of Citrix expertise in this marketplace. So it's against that backdrop that at Goliath Technologies, we build software to help with those challenges and help IT departments deliver a fantastic end user experience under those challenging conditions.
Very cool. Thomas, I'm no longer a CTP. I actually left that a few years ago. But I was one for, I can think, 10 years, something like that. So great group of folks. But I'm
Yep.
definitely right. You know, the Citrix world's a lot different than when I was in it, but there's still the true experts are a dime a dozen, just like any industry, right? But Citrix has a lot of great stuff and a lot of great information out there, but technologies like yours really help. So, you know, what trends do you see driving the overall marketplace in which Goliath serves today?
No, that's a good question. So let me talk about trends overall, and then I'll have a specific one related to healthcare, if that's okay. So perfect. I think the first trend I'm seeing is increased complexity of the IT delivery infrastructure, and the need to provide a great end user experience, no matter where the applications, the infrastructure, or the users are located. And this complexity is driven, I think, by the continual centralization of applications, the movement to the cloud, both internal cloud as well as public cloud, the increasing number of remote users. And look, to deliver an acceptable user experience, call it in the Citrix or a VMware Horizon View environment, our IT professionals tell us that they have to manage 15 to 20 different vendors that are building products to help deliver that end user experience, which makes sense from the end user's device to the service provider to the network elements, the load balancers, the routers, the underlying virtual server infrastructure, and then the Citrix or VMware Horizon components themselves. So that to me is the first trend, is we're dealing with really complex IT infrastructure. The second trend we just talked about is a lack of technical expertise at the tactical level to be able to deal with those disparate vendors. And frankly, anybody that is emerging from college or the military, for example, they should really take a look at those statistics that we just talked about the lack of Citrix expertise, because the compensation that these people are able to receive, even with minimal Citrix certifications, is really unbelievable. So that's the second trend, a lack of expertise. The third trend I'm seeing is a real demand for data and analytics to manage the complexity of IT, the expectations and relationships with executive leadership, management, counterparts, and vendors. So IT is increasingly being looked upon as a service provider internally, its own standalone business. And in that role, to function like any other business unit, it requires good insight. And it's the insight that only good data can provide. So that's what we're seeing is the need for performance data and user experience data and data with which to make business decisions to forecast in the future. So the fourth trend and the final trend, I think, specific to healthcare IT is healthcare IT is experiencing all of those trends that I just talked about. But in addition, health systems have spent mightily over the last 15 years to purchase electronic medical records systems and to put these in place. Companies, organizations like Cerner, Epic, and to a lesser extent, Meditech and Allscripts. So organizations have spent a lot of money to put these systems in place, but the health systems have really underspent on the software needed to manage these systems operationally. So that's a very large trend in healthcare we're seeing. Those are really the sort of the four trends I would say that drive our business.
Perfect. And the data you get out of this, let's say a company does have an expert, right? And most people consider themselves experts, and they're probably pretty good at what they do in most cases too. Do they just still see value from it? And what type of data are you giving them? What can you maybe give us an example?
Yeah, sure. So the thing that so if you are an expert, what often happens is that organizations don't give their experts the types of tools they need to be as efficient as possible. So an expert might be able to determine the root cause of a specific issue, call it a remote user, and they might be able to determine, almost divine because of their tribal knowledge, that the end user that's complaining, that is a home office issue. Right? They might be able to figure that out, but what they're going to have to do, these very technical folks, is they have to go through a checklist, a manual checklist to try to determine where the problem is. What Goliath Technologies does is we will bubble that answer up and present it to your most senior technical people, your help desk people, the admins. So we make people that aren't technically experts, we make them really, frankly, smarter, right? Because we're identifying where the root cause is. We don't require them to have the technical expertise to manage end user experience, to be proactive and preempt issues from happening. And then the most senior technical people love our product. Yeah. They're almost always our advocates because we don't require them to do the mundane, tedious task of root cause analysis. We give them the data and information that they need to be able to do that. And then since we remove those sort of mundane tasks, they're able to be much more productive and more effective because they can, instead of troubleshooting or putting out fires, they're able to plan for the future. So we make them much, much more effective at their jobs.
You bet. A good expert definitely loves tools. It helps with their, gives them the data that they need at the end of the day. That makes a lot of sense. So, I must fit in this COVID-19 piece into this because it's sort of the elephant in every room now. So, the what you've been talking about so far, does COVID-19 change any of this? I imagine it amplifies it like it does everything else, right?
Yeah, it's amplified a lot of issues. Organizations that had remote, 100 remote users. Pacific Life went to 5,500 remote users literally overnight. MedStar, I just read an article this morning down in Washington, D.C., went from something like 100 televisits a day to 100,000 a week. Wow. So it's incredible the impact this is having, and we actually reacted to it very quickly. We were looking at this back in the December timeframe, and if you look historically how some of these viruses have broken out, they follow a particular trajectory, right? There's a little bit of denial from the host company to start off with that delays reaction times worldwide, and then it hits, right? So we were looking at this. And so we started to build, knowing that we've always supported remote users, right? And all these digital workspace initiatives. So we started developing features, functions, and reports that would help people manage to the surge in remote workers. And it's really increased our customer base. So, knock on wood, this pandemic has not been bad for Goliath Technologies. We're also aided because we have a model that gives our people, luckily, fortunately, the ability to work effectively from home. So now we're getting requests in, and we've reacted with technology to help them solve these problems, because organizations are now interested in okay, I want to make sure my employees are safe. Then they want to make sure they're productive, whether it's, actually working as they're supposed to or able to work, right? Is the performance okay from all of these disparate locations with different service providers and different levels of connection and integrity? Are they able to actually do their jobs? And then finally, organizations increasingly are saying, well, wait a second, now we've been working from home for 60 days. It looks like it's going to continue. What are people's work habits? Are there ways that we can improve the work from home experience for our employees from a cultural point of view? So we're receiving a lot of those requests as well. But it's really been it's impacted our development timelines. It's impacted the features and functions in our products, including and up to reporting and analytics.
Wow, crazy, just crazy. So we've talked a lot about trends. I wanted to ask you about, some of the problems you guys solved, but you somewhat answered that question already. Anything else to add to, what the problems Goliath helps organizations solve?
Yeah, I think really simply here, we provide probably three things. Embedded intelligence automation. Remember we talked about the 15 to 20 vendors the IT individual professional has to manage to deliver a good end user experience, the complexity of IT. So what we deliver to the marketplace is a software solution that, and while we have competitors, nobody goes as far as we do in terms of taking embedded intelligence and automation and leveraging that to make it be like you're hiring. You buy Goliath Technologies, it's like hiring 2 full-time employees dedicated to monitoring and troubleshooting end user experience issues and providing you with the data you need to be able to make great decisions for your IT organization. So the embedded intelligence and automation that we have in our product, I should say we started as a consulting firm, right? Doing lots of troubleshooting engagements. I think we were that when you and I first started talking, and we had just purchased a software company that didn't have all of the features and functions that our product has now. And so we migrated to where now consulting services is about 3% of our revenue. So we took everything we learned and developed it into our product. So we're not doing what everyone else is doing and just integrating into, call it the Citrix APIs or the VMware APIs, because we can all pull the same data. Our intellectual property is around pulling from all of these other disparate sources that we needed to pull from to actually troubleshoot really complex issues. So to answer your question, we bring embedded intelligence and automation. We've talked about it a little bit, but we bring data and analytics. There are sort of 3 characteristics to our the way we approach data. We give people the ability to extract data out of our technology, the ability to integrate our data with third-party tools like a ServiceNow, for example, or a Splunk. And then we give you the ability to enhance the data, to take the data out of our technology in the form of reports, working with third-party tools so that you can have data-driven conversations with management and with vendors and other counterparts. And then I guess the final thing that we bring in terms of helping organizations solve problems would be sort of healthcare specific. So we are the only organization in the marketplace that has developed both partnerships and/or technical integrations with the major EMR, EHR vendors, which give us the ability to incorporate into our central console not only end user experience and the Citrix or VMware Horizon delivery infrastructure, but also the EMR, EHR performance metrics as well, which significantly aids in proactively managing the environment as well as troubleshooting when problems happen. And remember, in healthcare, we're talking about patient safety, right? It's not a CFO who's over in Japan is not able to get at their Excel file, their Excel file that they stored 2 years ago, and they want to look at those historic records. It's not that. It's we have a patient on the table, and we can't access their electronic health record, right? So in healthcare, it's just even more critical.
I love it. I love it. Thomas, you're always one step ahead of me. You know, the next question I wanted to ask is what makes you guys unique? In many ways, you answered that. But I guess there's much more to it. So what do you say?
Well, I think first it tracks back to, starting the company, right? So what makes us unique is really our people. You know, at the end of the day, we're a software company. There's not plant, equipment, collateral, things like that. We're not manufacturing something. We're developing software. So our largest expense as well as our asset is people. So, and it sounds a little bit trite, but our people are very passionate. They understand the value of what our technology provides, both professionally and personally, to the IT folks. And then I would say second, our products. You know, what makes us unique? Our people. And because of our people, we have unique products and unique features that give us the ability to provide real value in these complex IT environments and delivery infrastructures that we talked about.
Sounds great. Sounds great. I love it. I love what you guys do. I've known you, like I said, I've had the privilege of knowing you guys for a while, and you guys make great software for sure. So that being said, I like the use cases you've shared so far. Do you have any other examples of where you've helped out organizations?
You know, one that comes to mind is Universal Health Services, which is a top 10, they might even be top 5 for-profit health system. We were able to help them isolate the root cause of a drag-in dictation issue. And for people not familiar with healthcare, dictating patient notes is an occurrence that happens literally every day. So if you can imagine at UHS being one of the largest health systems, having a problem with dictation at any time would be a real problem and a significant issue. And we were able to help them understand and isolate where the problem was and fix it very quickly. So, our product is, as we talked about earlier, it's simply purpose-built to do that. So you automatically, with our technology, have the benefit of it automatically looking for failure points, conditions, and events that can occur in the environment and proactively alerting you to thresholds that are breached or triggered before an end user is impacted. So that's how the product is really designed, and that's how it functions for our clients. Perfect.
As you know, I work for iGel now and have for a few, 3.5 years. I can't believe how time flies. And it's just really a wonderful company like yours, and everything you said about yours, I think applies to iGel too. And one of the things I'm really happy about is that we're working together now. And in fact, I actually finally got to meet you in person at an iGel event, which was pretty cool. And so that being said, can you talk a bit about, the integration between the two, where Goliath helps iGel and iGel can help Goliath, and maybe some examples from a customer, if you could.
Sure. And iGel, what just fantastic people that I've met at iGel, and it's complemented by fantastic products. Their value proposition is really phenomenal. So, Penn National is a joint customer of ours, and or is now a joint customer of ours, and they were in the middle of a iGel deployment. Now, this was a virtual workspace work from home initiative, I think they called it. And in the mix were, and in this story, you'll see how we're able to help in iGel pilots and iGel deployments, right? And it's not unlike how we help in a Citrix environment. Something goes wrong and you're deploying Citrix. Citrix is the new thing, so you blame Citrix, right? Or you blame whatever you're seeing on your screen, okay? And with this particular deployment, there were Cisco soft phones that was VDI as well as iGel. And the deployment had stalled. And imagine the professional pain and personal pain this caused for the IT folks, because the IT folks had decided on iGel instead of Wise Thin Clients. They had decided on Citrix as opposed to VMware Horizon, right? And Cisco soft phones as opposed to some other particular competitor. So the VP of IT made a decision on those vendors. And now the deployment is stalled. And it's stalled because people are complaining about slowness, et cetera. And so iGel, Citrix, and Cisco soft phones were all being installed or all being blamed. And moreover, the entire project team was taking a hit, right? There, as they said, our credibility was being questioned. And so what we were able to do upon deploying our product in less than 10 business days was identify, auto-discover the entire environment and identify where the issues and problems were. So they could literally run reports and say, look, this is the server infrastructure, this is the connection speed to the location, this is the Citrix delivery infrastructure, and really identify that there were people that were using unsupported devices, unsupported connections like satellite connections. They were able to trend out. In one specific example, there was a higher level executive that was complaining because her internet connection was slow, but at very specific times of the day. So they trended this out over a 10-day period, and they got on the phone and asked her. They shared the report with her and the trend lines. And what they found is her 3 children had come home at 3:30 in the afternoon, and they spin up whatever they were doing, whether it was gaming or streaming videos, et cetera. But you had too many people on what was not a premium internet connection, right? So those types of examples we were able to help with, and they successfully completed their iGel implementation. We're actually dealing with a company as well now that call us for the same exact reason. So that's how we really have been able to play with iGel at this point, and we're working on further integration points with them now.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Thomas, I think we hit on a lot of the value you guys bring and what you guys are doing from, a high level. That being said, let's talk. My last couple questions is always sort of competition in the future. So, what do you see the competitive landscape for Goliath?
The competitive landscape, it's interesting. I'm actually think that competition is a good thing for a couple of reasons. First, and we used to have this saying when I was in the venture capital world that if there's no competition, you're either smarter than everyone enough to give you a first mover advantage, or there is no market. All right, and unfortunately for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's the latter. The second thing is I think competition almost always drives companies to build better products and services for their customers. So it is a competitive landscape, but it's been shifting quite a bit. So we've been very deliberate over the years in our product and market decisions in an effort to increase and create competitive advantages for ourselves, both in technology as well as partnerships. For example, in healthcare, we have integration with Epic, so we can incorporate performance data from Epic System Pulse into Citrix and end user experience. From a partnership perspective with Cerner, they can resell our technology. In the service provider space, we've architected our technology so that it will support, like for example, Tech Mahindra is a customer of ours, their DAS offering. So we've made really deliberate moves to be able to leverage both technology and partnerships to give ourselves a competitive advantage, and we'll continue to do so. Perfect.
One last question for you, Thomas. Then I'll let you get on with your day. If what do you see the future? What do you see as the future? Both with COVID, without COVID. For Goliath, the whole 9 yards. What's in your crystal ball?
So it'll be interesting to see how the digital workspace evolves and grows. I certainly have always been bullish about the growth of digital workspaces, or I wouldn't be in this business. But now I think there's going to be possibly change coming and corresponding growth due to COVID-19. I don't think that it's going to be more like a rubber band effect, right? I don't think that we are going to stay in this position where there are entire companies working from home en masse. I think that we'll revert back to what we've done previously, only not the same, right? So there will be some changes. We had a company that just came to us recently that said that they wanted to have all 800 employees begin to work from home in August, and they weren't going to renew their office space leases. So, I don't know how far widespread that would be. But the growth of remote workers is really going to impact trends like desktop virtualization, hyperconverged infrastructure, movement to the cloud, and others. So we'll watch it very closely. And for Goliath, this is really the marketplace we play in now, right? Enabling digital workspaces. So we focus on making end user experience great regardless of where your IT infrastructure, applications, or users are. So I think the market sort of moves toward us. And I'm very bullish about the end user compute marketplace and its eventual adoption.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Thomas, that's all I have for you today. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy man, and today I think we're all busy nowadays. I've been talking to a lot of folks that say I've never been more busy, which is quite crazy. So good and bad, right? But what do I say? Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I love it. Thank you.
Doug, it's always great talking to you.
I have one more question. I almost forgot. If somebody wants to learn more, what do they need to do?
Go to GoliathTechnologies.com or email us at techinfo, TECH at GoliathTechnologies.com.
Perfect. And you guys have free evals and all that jazz?
Oh, yeah. So we have free 30-day evaluations that, by the way, are fully supported. So as we say, sample our support and trial our support as well as our software. Obviously, free demos and consultations as well. Let's say you're trying to troubleshoot a particular issue. I can't tell you in a consultation whether we're going to be able to help you with that issue, but one of our technical folks will probably be able to give you a pretty good answer on whether or not we'd be able to solve it based on past experiences.
Perfect. Thomas, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. That's it. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, Doug. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes another episode of DABCC Radio. As always, I want to thank my guest for today, Thomas Charlton from Goliath, and I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Definitely check out what they're doing, play around with it, install it, learn from it. It's just great stuff. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please tell a friend. If you didn't, of course, email me and tell me why. So tell me how we can make this better. And if you'd like to be on the show, email me, brown@igl.com or dbrown@dabcc.com, and we can make that happen. So with no further ado, I'll just say thank you all. Stay safe. Have fun. It's summertime. Let's enjoy it the best we can, right? And of course, what else do I say? But thank you for listening to DABCC Radio.
DABC.
Say it again, DABCC.
DABC.
Can you say it again, DABCC?
DABC.
How about DABCC?
DABC.
DABCC.
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 DABCC.